In much the same way a long-distance runner must have a mileage base before he takes on speed work, and eventually the marathon, you must first lay down a psychological base to ensure not only short-term results, but long-term success. There are three keys to consider as you build what will become your mental game plan. We call these the three keys to success, and they are commitment, communication, and attitude. Commitment is the willingness to strive for and gain specific goals. Everyone has varying levels of commitment for different activities in life. Your level of success likely reflects how committed you are towards achieving your goals. Sacrifice, desire, and dedication are the backbone of an individual's commitment towards success. The desire an individual has to reach a goal is directly reflected in how dedicated he is at working for the goal and what he is willing to sacrifice to achieve it. In other words, the degree of commitment must be determined by the level of the goal. Many times, youngsters, like these gymnasts, sacrifice everything in order to make a run at the Olympic dream. Then add to that extensive traveling to training camps and competitive events, and there is little or no time to socialize with friends or family. However, many feel these sacrifices are necessary to achieve this kind of goal.
Sure, every little girl has the basic motivation and the basic goal. Now the question is, who's going to take them further than the average goal? Who's going to then take them further to reach something what sometimes are considered humanly impossible to reach? Mm-hmm. That's the problem. And that's when the coaches got to get behind. That's when the motivation is coming. That's when you have to give them not just the willingness, but the strive and at the same time, that guts. Yes, I'm going to make it. I want to make it. I will do it. And sure, that's an important part.
So, to sum up, the commitment, obviously, comes in training. Before you set out on the road towards a specific goal, it is important to realize your level of commitment and the limitations you may have in achieving your goals. You have to be open and honest. You have to be able to communicate, most of all, to yourself. Communication is the next subject we'll talk about. Numerous athletes are simply not honest with themselves when it comes to their goals. They're trying to achieve things that are unrealistic. As a result, they may be consistently depressed or unsatisfied because they never reach those goals. This applies to the professional or amateur. It's like the weekend tennis player who goes out and expects to be John McEnroe, but he's really John Doe. He gets frustrated when he doesn't ace his opponent every time he serves, but he only plays once a week and shouldn't expect his game to be as sharp as it was when he was playing 3 or 4 times a week in college. He's got to realize that his commitments are somewhere else now, perhaps with his children or his business.
You see many weekend players have all the right equipment. They'll have the proper shoes, racket, clothes. They look great. They possibly even train and eat in the habits of eating to win. But they come out to the tennis courts and then finally they decide that they're going to play like a John McEnroe. And they get very frustrated because they have not practiced maybe the entire week. And on the weekend, with all this desire, it seems to come to a head, and they get very, very stressful. And then the explosion may be breaking a brand new racket, injuring themselves by trying too hard, going home after a loss and maybe taking it out on the family or whatever.
Communication problems are the most common obstacles that exist between teammates and between athletes and coaches. When these obstacles exist, they often result in the development of a variety of problems that have a detrimental effect on athletic performance and a team's performance overall.
There have been problems between athlete and coach with relationship a lot of times related to goals. Maybe the coach has initiated a goal that's too high for the athlete, or the athlete has selected a goal much too high for his ability, and the coach realizes this, and there can be a conflict there. There can also be communications conflicts with relationship to the training itself. An athlete, for instance, may not like to lift weights, and yet he doesn't have the strength for real sprinting ability or whatever. the athlete doesn't want to do it, the coach knows that he needs to do it, and it can create problems. Or there can be problems with his own personal life, with relationship to school, or social problems or something like this that the athlete either does or doesn't bring to the coach, where the coach might be able to help if he knew about it. And if rapport can't be developed there, then maybe the athlete doesn't develop like he should during his career.
It comes down to individuals being able to communicate with others in either a verbal or nonverbal way. But more importantly, they need to be honest and open with themselves. When you are able to deal directly with a problem, either at home or in competition, a lot of stress, fear, and anxiety developed from communication blockage can be eliminated. Emotions, feelings, thoughts, and actions all reflect an individual's attitude. Every day, our performance on and off the athletic field is affected by our reflections and interactions with our teammates, coaches, and the others who surround us.
The one basic difference in individuals, that when I say the one basic difference, the thing I think that separates is an attitude. You watch a student or you watch an athlete, and the ones who seemingly, for the most part, excel, there's an acceptance factor. And I get off on that because that is the attitude that you look for. There's an acceptance factor that they are willing to listen. My psychology has always been a realistic approach. And I think a realistic approach is that none of us ever achieve what we're capable of achieving.
Although it is very easy to suggest to someone that they need to be more positive, it is perhaps more important to develop a realistic attitude. When a problem occurs that has a negative impact, like a slump, on an individual's attitude, the key to becoming positive, again, is to be realistic in an attempt at identifying the source of the problem. It is especially important to remain realistic considering the length of a competitive season. Let's take college basketball, for example. The season can be 40 games long. It's silly to suggest that a team is going to win every game. A more realistic and positive approach would be to go out and give it your best effort and win as many as the team's ability would allow it to. Shoot for 35 victories, and if a slump occurs, figure out what's going wrong and why the team isn't playing up to its ability.
In the NBA, when you play 82 ball games, you're going to lose a lot. It's the first experience I've had with losing ball games, say 4 or 5 in a row or something like that. The one thing you do is you don't ride a roller coaster. If you win, you don't get too high, and if you lose, you don't get too low. There's the next night. If you score 30 points one night, you're still going to play the next night. So you're not too high. And if you don't score and don't play well, you're not too low, because if you get in a roller coaster ride emotionally, that really tears you up. If you just stay on even keel and just say, I'm going to play, good or bad, that there's the next night, always try to do your best.
Let's illustrate the point by drawing a line. And on one end, put the word rational. On the opposite end, put emotional. These are the two ends of the spectrum. Ideally, you want to be somewhere in between, or at least be able to fluctuate with the situation. When a player is running past third base and getting the go sign from the coach, it's time for the emotional level to kick in and get him to home plate before the throw from the outfield. Yet, if the player is on first base and thinking about stealing second, he has to take a more rational approach about when would be the proper time to steal. Consequently, the athlete needs to determine how he can be the most positive, yet at the same time develop the most realistic attitude as possible.